Good afternoon, Lord Mayor, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of CBI Northern Ireland, I'm delighted to welcome you all here today to the annual lunch, and I hope you have an enjoyable time with some great company at your tables. If, on the other hand, you've been obliged to come, rather like myself, and are now stuck with some terribly boring hosts, you have my commiserations. Can I also take this opportunity to thank our main sponsors for today, our strategic partner, Northern Ireland Electricity, our corporate partner, Rainbow Communications, and our networking partner, Barclays, and also the Equality Commission for Northern Ireland. On behalf of the CBI, we're grateful for your ongoing support in this and many other aspects of our work, and we very much look forward to continuing working with you in the future. The theme for today's event, and indeed a major aspect of the CBI's work in 2014 across the UK, is gender diversity in the workplace. In that context, it is therefore my great pleasure to welcome two guest speakers, Liz Earle, MBE, the ethical entrepreneur, and Rotha Johnson, CBE, who's a non-exec director. She has many other hats as well, but today she's here in her capacity as an NED for Northern Ireland Electricity. We look forward to hearing your thoughts on the challenges that you both faced in cracking the glass ceiling in business, and how we, as a united community of business, education and political stakeholders, can do more to encourage female leaders of today and tomorrow to achieve that goal. For the CBI and for business more widely, there are many good reasons for companies to believe that increasing gender diversity in their workforce will be a business boost, as well as being the right thing to do. Feedback from businesses across the country, as well as academic evidence, and indeed my own business experience, clearly shows that management teams with gender diversity have a broader perspective. They also provide a more inclusive and more rigorous and challenging framework for managing critical decision making. The CBI approaches this subject very seriously, and the subject of gender diversity in the workplace, we have a clear belief in the need to sustain and develop the talent pipeline for women. Personally, I look forward to the day when, from education, from entry into work, through management positions and beyond, that we've addressed the remaining issues to make the topic of gender diversity such an accepted part of business culture that we don't have to talk about it anymore. Today, therefore, sees the official Northern Ireland launch of a clear commitment from CBI that we will take the necessary steps in all of our work through our council meetings, committee meetings and events and all of our policy making activities, that there will be female participation of at least 30% on a comply or explain basis. Going forward, we'll be open to public critique on this, ensuring that over a period of time we are standing over our commitment and delivering on our words and our deeds. It's therefore gratifying for me to be able to say that at today's event, with over 400 people attending, we actually have a 44% female representation, including one or two tables with 100% female turnout. So we're making excellent progress so far. This is a critical challenge for the business community, and it's a challenge to which I'll shortly return. Ladies and gentlemen, we meet today at what is a crucial time, not just in terms of the challenges we are setting ourselves on diversity, but also the economic and political challenges that are facing our political leaders, both nationally and locally. After a challenging summer in 2013, it's a credit to the leadership provided by the Assembly parties across the political spectrum that this summer saw one of the most peaceful marching seasons on record. From the point of view of the business community, that's a solid foundation on which to build. It's a solid foundation which should form a platform for a positive decision by the Prime Minister in respect of devolving corporation tax powers to the Assembly in the coming weeks. I know that many of you in the room have been sceptical that this might happen, but I'm increasingly of the opinion that the Prime Minister intends to say yes to this particular proposal. Local politics have, of course, been more difficult, and the outcomes are potentially more challenging. When I stood before you at the annual dinner in April, I noted a range of policy matters that lay on the executive table. I also issued a clear, get it sorted message to the executive on a number of those policy areas. A commitment from the business and a commitment from the business community that we are more than willing to play our part in achieving those policy aims. Sadly, I have to report that in the intervening 5 months, we've primarily been beset by frustration on the political front in terms of progress. In the private sector, however, we've been getting on with it. In the last 12 months, the private sector has created around 16,000 jobs, with a modest decline of 3,000 also in the public sector. That's an encouraging start to rebalancing the local economy, with jobs being created in manufacturing and construction, as well as in the service sector. Investment intentions have also improved, and over the past months we've seen the continuation of a steady stream of announcements from InvestNI of major inward investment projects and a number of expansions of Indigenous firms as well. We've also seen continued investment in R&D and innovation. Employment levels are now back to those last seen 5 years ago. So our economy, the backbone and generator of wealth in our society, is clearly beginning to rebound. But we recognise that the journey has only just begun, and much work remains to be done if we are to achieve another of the CBI's objectives this year, ensuring that growth makes a difference to everyone. And as for the campaign on devolving corporation tax powers, as it reaches its conclusion, the budget challenges that the executive faces, accompanied by a belief by being in the midst of a 3-year election cycle, these have given rise to some considerable difficulties up on the Hill. But while this environment is one that we have become somewhat accustomed to seeing in Northern Ireland, there is the ongoing threat of reputational risk as well as the ongoing uncertainty. For our part, and as a key part of the CBI campaign on winning the public's trust and confidence in business, we've continued to work with all the parties at a senior level. Consistently, we have delivered a message, while fully cognizant of the political realities that ministers face, of a need for a greater collective responsibility around the executive table and greater agreement on resolving the key policy challenges that will enable the economic recovery we see to be sustained, to be broadly based, and ultimately one that is felt in people's pockets as well as in their everyday lives. So to underpin what we expect will be a positive decision by the Prime Minister on corporation tax, it will be vital that the executive ministers seize the opportunity that this represents. It is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make a seismic change that will drive further and higher value inward investment activities and facilitate additional investment by additional businesses as well. Finding the way to deliver the savings to pay for the introduction of this will require a unity of purpose and some cut-through by executive ministers to ensure that this historic opportunity is not missed. There's a number of other policy matters that will also require the executive to take a more collegiate approach. Building on our report in February on business and education links, we're now involved in a range of work streams emerging from that. From a pilot partnership programme between business leaders and school principals, to getting more business people onto boards of governors, to starting a Speakers in Schools initiative, and playing a full part on ongoing government reviews of youth training and careers advice and guidance. We stand proudly behind the CBI's record of achievement and delivery in respect of making sure that our young people are best prepared for the world of work and the opportunities that will set our economic future. We will shortly publish a new education report focusing on the key attributes of our school system and its pupils should be looking to achieve against the backdrop that we will continue to engage with key educational stakeholders, from government to the unions, to ensure that we truly do raise ambition, aspiration and achievement for all. All of us in the room today have a part to play in delivering on that ambition. In an increasingly complex and competitive global environment, it's also critical that we take steps necessary to enhance Northern Ireland's competitiveness. That is why the reform of employment law undertaken by the Employment and Learning Minister is one that is so critical to business. Another is the proposed centralisation of procurement and delivery of major infrastructure projects, along with the development of a more visible pipeline of works and regional infrastructure planned by the Finance Minister. In this context, the need for collegiality of approach among our executive ministers is paramount, and there are other critical areas which also require collective support. Most prominent is the need for urgent and our many and manifest energy challenges, from concerns over security of supply to having, for large energy users, the second highest costs in Europe. These are challenges which can no longer be put on the long finger. In April, I called for specific action on these issues, but progress has been glacially slow and needs to improve. I don't doubt the political difficulty in facing up to these challenges, but the solutions, some of which we have detailed in our roadmap reports, require bold and decisive action. With over 18 months to run before the next Assembly elections, we urge the Executive to get stuck into it. We cannot afford to wait any longer. Returning to gender diversity, it's also imperative that business, as I outlined at the start, which is our theme for today, looks at its own standards and how we can drive change in the workplace. Business has come a long way over the last couple of decades, from the right to request flexible working to the Davies Review on women in boards. Many firms have shown that they will embrace the challenge of supporting different career paths and structures as ways to attract and retain key female staff. Both government and business rightly believe that progress must continue to be made, but it is for business to drive the diversity agenda. In June, our commitment led us to the publication Building on Progress. With boosting gender diversity in our workplace at its core, we believe it is crucial that now and in the future, governments across the UK find a way to promote business development. But this must be combined with firms like those represented here today playing their part. Business needs to maintain the momentum on diversity, something seen very clearly in the numbers of females in attendance here today, and ensure that that diversity is and remains a key business issue. Our June report laid out a number of key steps which we believe are critical to sustaining that progress. Taking steps to further address the gender pay gap, tackling gender segregation in careers advice and guidance in our schools, particularly when it comes to STEM subjects and apprenticeships. Business is committing to meaningful diversity policies and aspirational targets that can deliver real progress. Placing renewed focus on effective recruitment, retention and succession planning. Working with government to push for a wider awareness of the benefits and options of flexible working. And finally, and perhaps crucially, delivering flexible, high-quality, affordable childcare. This needs to be the next challenge that government takes on and finds workable solutions to. Within the CBI family, we've been leading the way through development and taking forward a Women's in Business Leadership programme that has sought to bring together local business women to share expertise and best practice. In totality, therefore, we believe we're heading towards a place where we can see a record of improvement within business community that is putting us in much better shape in terms of gender diversity, inclusivity and equality. But that journey is far from complete. All our commitment within the CBI is real. It is my hope that all of you here today will join with us in seeking to achieve it. Thank you very much.